Now I want to go ahead and point out to you that Obama is launching all of these wars in Libya, Syria, Central Africa, everywhere without congressional approval. And our system of checks and balances is in the crapper. This is incredible. With more on that, we go to Webster Tarpley, who predicted all of this in the Obama deception. Well, you've just seen the tape. 3.5 years ago, Dr. Webster Tarpley, doctor of history, he's also an economist, predicted this invasion of the continent of Africa via the pretext of humanitarian intervention. And we have seen Libya shattered. He traveled there and was there under the bombardment. First reported, months before it came out, the massacre of black Libyans by the Arab al-Qaeda forces brought in. He predicted the attack on Syria using al-Qaeda. That's now happening. And that McCain and others would call for bombardments that are just days or weeks away. Now, I've done a lot of research to be able to cover this subject, but nothing compared to Webster. But what the establishment's planning on doing is more divide and conquer in Africa. And something bigger than the Congo wars that conservatively killed 8 million people or so. You know, you always hear about the Rwandan massacres. That was just one part of a larger constellation of mass murder that went on, all under the UN's auspices. And, of course, you know, earlier I went over a few articles from just last year. We'll talk more about these with Webster in a moment, where they send the UN into Ivory Coast, you name it, slaughtering tens of thousands and admitting they are. And it's almost always Christians. So it's all part of igniting Christian-Muslim infighting. As Tarpley said 3.5 years ago, kicking the Chinese out of the area. They're trying to use development, not military invasion, as a way to get to natural resources. And we see this new Kony 2012. And again, I'm not saying that Joseph Kony is some wonderful angel. The point is that the larger military that controls the country that he's in, that is fighting against the Lord's Resistance Army in Uganda, is one of the main command bases for AFRICOM to expand the overall destabilization and genocide program that is the official U.S. government policy of State Department Memorandum 200 by Henry Kissinger, saying use war, use famine, use balkanization, use other things to reduce population and industrialization in Africa from 1973. So this is part of a larger strategy or stratagem. And again, I'm not making moral judgments here on the face of it. I'm not saying the Serbs were wonderful angels, but that whole NATO attack and invasion was about balkanizing, bombing infrastructure, controlling drug routes, giving the Muslim extremists control of Albania. Same thing there. But here, they're getting ready for major genocide, and you heard it here first. It's going to be huge. It was earlier today, of course, I got a call from one of the people that works here, young daughters, a teenager, saying, oh, my gosh, you know, there's this Kony 2012. It's had 37 million views in just 3 days. And then, sure enough, I went and researched it. It's this giant call for war. In fact, they have graphics in here on the site saying something that Republicans and Democrats can both agree on. Let's aid the children, because Kony is grabbing them and using them as soldiers. Well, all of Africa does that. The UN does that. The UN's been caught raping them everywhere. The point is, this is part of a larger program and has nothing to do with the children. Remember, there were the people with Viagra raping the children in Libya? All lies. Saddam throwing babies out of incubators? All lies, admitted. Assad massacres, almost completely exaggerated, with al-Qaeda forces attacking and now caught staging shootings on CNN. This is all blowing up. So it's a pretext, just like I read the quote earlier with William Randolph Hearst, the owner of the Hearst Empire, saying, look, Remington Painter, you supply the paintings, the pictures, I'll supply the war. Okay, so that's what's happening here. And you better believe when they're done getting all the trendies clamoring and the children, you know, the young people, save the children over there, we're children. Of course, they're, again, the propaganda of the Pentagon and the globalists is now targeting American and Western children. They know the adult world's woken up, so now through social networks, all the things they control, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, the places where we're censored, they are just going in and saying, get behind war, and all these bizarre posters about demand war, demand invasion. And we saw Obama in an exploratory operation, London Telegraph reported on, Obama deploys U.S. Special Forces to Central Africa. They tried that and they failed. And other investigative reporters that have gone over there to cover this, they die. But these other folks putting out this Kony 2012, they were able to be there for years and get all this useful material. They may be useful idiots, but bottom line, I know packaged propaganda when I see it. And I know the West policy to genocide Africans and to give them those special vaccines where half of them get HIV. So I know the score. When the West wants to help Africa, like Bill Gates and his GMO, look out. Dr. Tarpley, again, I've tried to go over some of this here, but it is mind-blowing to see how they use Twitter, Facebook to overthrow their old dictator in Egypt, and then now things are 10 times worse. To overthrow a guy who'd made deals with him, Gaddafi, now things are 20 times worse. No one debates that. With Assad, I mean, this is order out of KO. You have studied Africa like no one else I know. You've been there many times. You predicted it in the Obama deception. Everything is happening as you said it would. What's really going on here?
Well, I think there are really two sides to this. One is the strategic reality of what the U.S. and the British are doing in Africa. And then there's this viral video, right,